And we're resuming our trials of the grinding food waste and then pouring it in these plastic containers. This time both of them without any inoculant. To add some inoculant to that one. I mean soil inoculant, to show how rapid it is. Right now we're doing 2 trials without any inoculant and just grinding it up. And what just came out there was a bunch of meat and grease and fat from our previous meat meal, and then there's going to be all these vegetables going in. But this is what we need to do when your biodigester has a problem. So we found that the biodigester here has a crack down there, so we're going to have to seal that crack. But we're not getting our gas holder isn't filling because the biodigester has a little micro crack there which is leaking, and so can't be feeding it productively here. So we're just dumping the food waste here and spilling a little bit on the ground, on the sand there. But of course no harm done, because there are no flies, there are no roaches when you do that. The roaches and the flies are all here, pre-ground stage. So let's start grinding. There's even a paper plate, of course. 2 bags. A piece of cardboard from the pizza. Paper towels. Tea bags. Almost everything organic, of course. Let's just pause for a second and dump this out. So this bucket I'm going to pour right in here. Again, this is the one that had meat in it. And it sure looks like vomit, but I assure you, because we've ground, there will be no smell and no flies and no roaches and no rats and no raccoons and no chickens and no vermin. The overspill can certainly go into the ground. That's not a problem. So coming back again. Okay. So there we go. And so there's our wonderful incinerator. Oh, that shouldn't have happened. Okay. All right, so the second bucket we'll take and we pour in here. And what I want to do a trial with is I want to have one that has meat mixed in with the grind in one bin and just vegetables and fruit in the other. There's a lot of skepticism of whether you can include meat and fat and grease and expect it to be odorless. So far that seems to be the case, and maybe the mix is even better because it balances the pH when you have the alkaline, the ammonia from protein, and the acids from fats and carbohydrates. But we'll want to keep testing that. And then eventually I'm going to inoculate one of these with soil and show that it'll turn back into soil in 3 to 6 days, the usual average time, as opposed to composting. But right now all we're doing is grinding and putting on a barren plastic surface and demonstrating that there's no odor and no attraction of any vermin. So that's what we're doing with our excess food waste now that the biodigester has a crack in it. And as I mentioned, because of this lip, we can't productively use the biodigester because we're leaking out our gas through that micro crack and we're not filling the gas holders. So what to do with the excess food while we repair the biodigester? Well, just grind it and dump it. And of course, when you dump it on the soil, it becomes this sort of like dry cake that eventually will turn into soil. And there's organisms on the sand to help with. But when you actually put it on soil like we did over here in the cassava, then the food waste turns right into soil. So no composting for us. All those yams and the cassava and those beautiful flowers, the garden just made from food waste, ground up. And like I say, if you inoculate 3 to 6 days to turn into soil, if you don't, it just sits there and browns for months and months and months. So we will get the soil in there eventually. But here's our trial, grinding instead of composting. And we've done this indoors too and shown that this can be done productively in the house. And certainly can be done, as my student Lacey Vasconcellos did, can be done on the porch of an apartment. You might not have as much surface area. She's doing it in buckets, but you grind it and you layer it, in her case, with soil, and you get a really good soil out of that. So yeah, get a grinder, get yourself a food grinder, and grind into a bucket, and then just pour it in your garden or your planters. Works real well. Thanks a lot for watching.